What's going on, everybody? Wilson here again, Zion Racing Team. Got another video for you today. Once again, make sure you follow us, subscribe, like, comment, let us know how we're doing, what you guys think, what you want to see, different things, anything. We'll take it and we'll try to answer as best we can. You can follow us at Zion Racing Team. It's on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. Make sure you follow our sponsor too, JNS Performance. On Instagram is JS Performance FL. And then our partners, Car Wash Genie and Boom Design. You can find them also on Instagram at Car Wash Genie and at Boom Design USA. Today we got an edition not on one of the team cars, but on the wifey's daily. She's got a 2014 Lexus GS350 F Sport, rear wheel drive, not all wheel drive. Today we're just doing a little maintenance. We're going to be changing the serpentine belt, and we're going to be removing the coolant and changing out the thermostat with the gasket. This one comes the whole housing. Just going to go step by step and show you what the process is and how we do it. But you know, it all isn't about race cars. Sometimes you got to keep the dailies working too, so that we can get to where we got to go and keep working. So stay tuned with this video and you'll see the little step-by-step process on how we're going to take care of this. And shrouds that surround everything on this vehicle, so it's easier to remove them so you have better access. This cover here just pulls off. You're going to pull that cover off. We're going to go ahead and take off these plastics here so that it makes us easier and we can get a nice view in there of the thermostat and be able to remove it properly. And then also underneath the vehicle there's a splash shield. There usually is a little hole, a little service hole, which is right there where you can drain the coolant from. But since I am changing the thermostat and everything and it's gonna make more of a mess, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the entire plastic. It's got quite a few 10mm bolts holding it in place, some plastic clips. So we'll go ahead and remove this whole thing, and then I'll let you know how it looks under there so you can see exactly, you know, how much space you'll gain with just removing all of these plastics. You can see that just clips in there, just push down on. It's got these little balls here that it just clips into. Once you take that off, you got a lot more space here to work with. These clips here, you push down on them and they pop up. Simple little clips, just a little push clip, push it down, they pop up, and then when you're going to put it back, you just put them back up, put them in, push them down. Make sure you don't lose them. There's a bunch of them. At least for these panels right here, they're looking like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 clips just right here from what I see. See? Easy to lose. One just popped up on me. Actually, there's one more clip. You can see that one. Side cover. And this piece just presses in there. I have access to on the inside of the engine bay here if you want. So this is out of the way because the thermostat is right here where we're going to be removing it. So just to give us a little more space, there's a 10mm bolt here that we'll go ahead and remove, so we can just take this plastic intake duct out of here, and then duct just comes right off. I like to usually put the bolts back where I find them, just so I don't lose them and I know exactly where they go. In here we'll also see the coolant reservoir tank. This tank has a 10mm bolt securing it on each side, and it has a wire loom clip to it. What you can do if you wanted to remove it is remove those 10 bolts and then disconnect the hosing, and you can remove it if you want to clean it out. If your system is compromised and dirty, this car is pretty clean. It's been maintained from the dealer all the time, so it just out of the service warranty now. So now, you know, I perform the work myself to it. So if the coolant system was compromised and you did have, you know, some really dirty coolant in there and you wanted to flush this out, 2 10mm bolts, disconnect the hoses from the top, or just remove the top completely. Disconnect the little clip for the wire loom here, and then you'll be able to slide that out. You can wash it out, do what you want to do. We won't be taking it out today. It's not in the way of what we need to do. The only thing I'll probably move is the hose out of the way so that when I do change that serpentine belt, I can get to it with ease. But for right now, it's fine where it is. So just to kind of give you guys a little idea, this is how it looks now with the space that we need. You'll see here we have plenty of room. Down there is the oil filter location. If you've ever done an oil change, you'll notice that they put a new style oil filter on there, which is kind of like the European models where you got to remove that cover and then you have one of those paper filters in there. Kind of a pain in the butt. It's easier if you just buy the tool that's made for it, so you can remove that and then you can pull the filter out. But there is an access hole on the bottom so that you can remove that. So if you'll see here, this is the new neck that we purchased. The thermostat is in here. We're gonna go ahead and remove that once we drain the fluid. More fluid is gonna come out, and that's why I'm gonna remove that bottom plastic shroud, and then this whole piece gets replaced. It's a plastic piece, and instead of just selling you the thermostat with the gasket, they provide you with the entire piece so that you can replace it. Since it is plastic, it does have a tendency that it could get dry rotted as well and crack. So you replace that whole thing, and then if you see here, there's the serpentine belt. Always pay attention to how it's routed before you start to take it off, as you want to make sure you put it back in the right place. But on Toyota, Lexus engines, it usually is relatively easy. You're gonna just it should be a 14mm socket on this tensioner here. When you do crank on the tensioner, it is gonna free the belt from its tension, and then you're just gonna slide the belt off of all the pulleys and the alternator and everything that it's on. You remove it, you get the new one, you know, bend the tensioner again, and then you slide it back on in the same order that it's in. Relatively simple. I will be showing you that process in just a minute, but for now I'm going to go ahead and remove the lower shroud and start draining the radiator fluid. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 10mm screws that are in there holding the plastic. And then we also have 2 clips which I have to remove. clips over time can become stubborn and break. So that's normal with these clips. There's a clip from the top that I lost a little while ago. Alright, and now you can see with the shroud off, there's that oil filter that I told you about. You just buy the socket that's made to fit on here, and then you can remove it. There you see the serpentine belt, and in here see the little valve to drain the coolant. This is where you'll start draining the coolant from. Best way that I've learned how to do it from automotive school and just from self-taught. You always want to drain this without opening the system so that it can vacuum everything that's in the engine and let it out. And then once it stops flowing, then you can release the cap, and then that's when the rest of the pressure will release everything else. Obviously still, when we take out the thermostat, which is up here, it's going to drain as well, and that's why I took off this cover, because it's going to drain down this way. It's going to cause a mess in here, and you want to go ahead and leave your area clean when you're done. You don't want coolant leaking on your driveway or anything. And then in there, you'll see the reservoir tank is low because it does need this service, but you know, the fluid was still clean and everything's still good. We went ahead and bought genuine Toyota coolant for it that we have to dilute with distilled water. But there you go. Now the shroud is off and we have access, so we'll start draining. You just turn it like a little knob. Alright, while the coolant drains, here you see, we're going to go ahead and take the belt off. This is the tensioner here. It is a 14mm bolt as I specified. When you pull on, put pressure on the bolt, you see it looses that tension off of the belt, and then you're able to go ahead and slide that belt off of that pulley. When you release the tension back, you'll see the tensioner comes all the way back to its resting position, and you're able to remove the belt from its location. It's a simplified process. I find that the Toyotas and the Lexus usually have a very nice system with this serpentine belt. Easy to remove and easy to put back on. Now this belt wasn't relatively in bad shape. Usually you'll see cracks or dry rotting. This belt was actually pretty good. Not sure when they changed it, but I figured, you know, with a service like this, I might as well change it out. And I do change them out with factory belts. I like to use factory belts better. This is the part number for this car. If you're looking for it, it's not that expensive. It's better to just go with a factory part. You'll see the difference there in the wear pattern of how it is, you know, brand new compared to the one I just took off. Now we'll go ahead and route the new belt back in. Okay, you'll see it's all aligned on all the other pulleys, and then what you have to do is go ahead and secure it on there so it's on all of them, and then that's the one that's going to go over the tensioner. And I go ahead and put your socket back on there. Crank down on that tensioner. And then ease that back. Over that pulley. See there? There it is. Quick and simple. Back on there. Just make sure it's routed the way that you took it off. And make sure that it's on all the tensioners, all the pulleys. You don't want to have one rib off, because if you do, you will fray the belt and damage the belt. You want to make sure it's on there nice and secure. And that's it. That's how you just change the serpentine belt. Takes about 5 minutes, literally. So now the radiator fluid has stopped draining from the plug underneath. What I'll do, I'll squeeze the belts a little bit, try to vacuum anything else out that's out of there. But since it did stop, now we'll go ahead and release the pressure, take off the radiator cap. Alright guys, to access that third bolt, looks like I am going to have to take this plastic off so that I can loosen this hose just to get it out of the way. There are some 12mm plastic, I would say kind of nut on the actual plastic that hold it in place. They're plastic nuts, so you don't really need a wrench or a ratchet to take them off. There's 3 of them on here that I'm going to go ahead and loosen so that this plastic piece can swing out of the way. It's just a protectant shield for the engine, and it holds a piece of the wire loom. If you see, I'm not even using a ratchet. They're finger tight on there because they are plastic. So just be mindful when you take them off and put them back on that if you over tighten stuff, it'll break, especially when it's plastic. As you see, that plastic just moves out of the way so it can expose this hose clamp. So I can go ahead, and since I did say I wasn't going to have to remove this one, but now for good measure, just to give myself enough clearance, I'll go ahead and remove it as well, just to get it out of the way. I want to give myself enough space and enough free mobility so that I am able to mess with these hoses. Go. So yeah, now that pushes out of the way, that'll give me the clearance that I need so that I can go ahead and reach this last little bolt down here. This one also has some coolant in it. There's a lot of coolant that still stays in there. Obviously, it's not going to drain completely from where it is. Alright, the stubborn one that I did have to take out, I got it out. It's a little pain in the butt. Make sure you don't lose that. I'm going to take off these on the top here as well. Make sure you don't drop them when you take it out. Little nuts. Alright, all three of them are out. You'll see the housing when you come down. You got the stubborn holes here. Just push that out of the way so you have enough space. You get out the thermostat and the gasket. Remember to take the gasket off. Sometimes it gets stuck on there, but the gasket comes on in a new piece. So you don't want to have a double gasket on there, but this is your thermostat and the housing. It's all one piece on this Lexus. That's why they sell you the entire piece. It's plastic, it could get brittle, it could crack. It's better to just change it out if you're going to go ahead and service your system. And it's got a lot of miles. This car is getting close to 100,000 miles. It's at 80 something thousand, so it's better to, you know, instead of just flushing by itself, you flush and also remove the thermostat housing so that you put a nice new genuine one in there. And just as the Serpentine belt, I went ahead and bought an original one as well. There's the part number so that you can see if you need to buy it for the vehicle. But I buy the genuine parts. I'd rather put real stuff on here than, you know, something else. You're already going through this process. You don't want to have to do it again. So I go ahead and buy the genuine stuff as well. And then here you see the new one. Like I said, the gasket's already on there. Everything's brand new, nice and shiny. Just gonna repeat the same steps to put it back on. Slide it in, push that little hose out of the way, slide it in, put your nuts back on. Remember, do not over tighten, even though there are little shims in there, metal shims. Remember, this is plastic and you could crack it. Any crack could cause a leak, so you don't want to do that. So just make sure you snug them on there and don't over tighten. And then we'll go ahead and put this on and start buttoning it up so you can see how the process is to refill it with coolant, and a little sneak thing that I have to show you guys that part. Happens when you drop it. Make sure you don't drop them. So now you gotta go swimming in the coolant to get it out of there. The old coolant. But like I said, don't over tighten. I'm gonna go ahead and take it easy because it is plastic. It's a little snug, so you don't have any leaks, but you're also breaking it. Check them, make sure they're secure. Alright, these are nice and tight back on there. Now you go ahead and put your hoses back on that you loosened earlier. those hoses back on. And go ahead and place the plastic back on. Remember that we took off so that we had enough room to mess with that last bottom bolt. Go ahead and slide that back on and put on the plastic nuts again. And you can just finger tighten them back on. If you want to use a socket, you can, but it's not necessary. You don't want to break them, and they don't have to be on there with such force because they are plastic. You will strip them and damage them. So you can just use your finger, put them back on. This one, just because it's a little stubborn, I use the socket just to give me a little leverage, just because of the location. But same concept, I'm not using a ratchet, just going to tighten it with my finger. And then those are back on. And then don't forget to tighten your little bung at the bottom, the one that we originally opened, that drains the radiator. There's now the system there. Needs to be closed so that we can do our next step. So something that I did learn at Toyota, which helps with the process, is if you loosen this upper radiator hose from the radiator side, not from this side, and you pour the coolant into here first until it reaches the level, that will help you eliminate any air in the system so that it doesn't take you a long time to bleed the system for air. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to show you guys first a tool that I have that's for this, that makes your job so much easier. And then I'm also going to show you how I pour the coolant into these sections so that you eliminate air in the system. And I did not forget, but almost, to put that back on there. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. But as you can see, it's a relatively simple process. Pretty much most people can do with minimal knowledge. But if we can make a little video and show you guys and help you out, then that's better for everyone. Because then we learn, you do it yourself, you eliminate, taking it somewhere and them not doing the right job. And it just helps out the whole process. So let me get my tools and I'll show you in a second. Alright, this is the dream when you do radiator flushes. This is a spill-proof funnel kit from EP Auto. I bought this on Amazon. They sell them at the auto parts store. They sell them at different locations. You can look up online, spill-proof funnel kit. This helps you do your radiator service and eliminate you having to sit there the whole time. Comes with numerous attachments for different applications, and I'll show you the process on how to use this thing. But this is a lifesaver when it comes to this process. It gives you directions here. I'm going to go ahead and show you how I use it. It's pretty much the same way they're using it, just have to put it whatever way works best for you. But if you don't have one, make sure you go out and get one. Not endorsing EP Auto, but this is the kit that I bought. I like this one for the price and everything. So if you do want to buy it, I did get it on Amazon, and you can look them up and buy it off of there. So here you see the funnel attached. There's numerous attachments that come with it. Make sure you use the right one that goes on there. First thing I want to do though is show you the coolant. This is long life antifreeze coolant, Lexus coolant. This is Toyota Lexus coolant made for these vehicles. It is the red one. This is the one that was in this vehicle. Make sure you use the right one that was in the car. You don't want to mix and use a different one. What I like to do with the concentrated version, which is this right now, I like to fill up the reservoir tank, which is this one here. Just fill it up to the full line. You can put pure concentrated one in there because that's the overflow, and if it needs, it'll suck from there or it'll push back into that. But that one can have concentrated, but for the actual car, you're going to want to dilute this one 50/50 with, I use distilled water. You don't want to really use regular water in automotive applications. The minerals and stuff that are in the regular water can cause corrosion and stuff inside the engine. So if you use distilled water, it'll prevent that from happening. So what I'll do is I'm going to fill up this reservoir, and then I'm going to go ahead and mix 50/50 distilled water and the coolant, so that we go ahead and mix the right amount in there. And then I will also show you the trick where I put it in that hose first before I fill up the tank. Alright, it's full to the full line. Go ahead and close that off. And then I'll show you here. See, you still got coolant coming out there. That's why you always want to keep your bucket down here. More coolant drains out. That means we haven't completely taken everything out of the system. There's a little bit there that stayed just because it's so high in the car. So here I went ahead and diluted it. And what I'll do is I'll grab this hose and I'll start pouring it in there. And that way you start filling up the system from all the way over here, and you eliminate the air that can build up in the system. You'll hear the air there. What you do is, remember, you want to fill it up, but you want to give yourself enough space so that you can put it back on and not spill everything everywhere. So you see it comes up there, put it on quick. A little bit might come out, that's okay. You've got the majority of what you wanted to accomplish. Try to take out the bubbles. Pardon the noise, the neighbor's doing yard work. And you put the clip back on. And now you're ready to fill this up and turn the car on. You can see there, we've already started to fill this up. You hear it gloop, gloop, gloop. There it's doing its magic. Here you see it. You fill it up, you know, and it just automatically starts draining in. When it gets full, it's just gonna stop. We'll turn the car on, let the car run, and you're gonna want to let the car run and reach its heating point so that the fans come on. You always got two fans there for this car. One fan is the fan to cool the car. The other one is when the AC kicks on, it turns that fan on also, so that it can provide extra cooling. So you want to make sure that the heating cycle goes on in the vehicle so that both fans turn on and start cooling the vehicle down when it reaches its limit. So you'll see there, it ran out. I gotta add more coolant, and then we'll go ahead and start the car and start going. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start the car now. You do want to make sure that the AC is off completely. You don't want that fan turned on prematurely. You want the fan to come on by itself. So you go ahead and turn that fan off, and then that AC off so the fan is off. And then obviously you make sure, you know, when you started it, that the belt and everything that you put on were good. We can take a peek at that. You'll see belt is properly installed. Everything looks good. Nothing is wrong. We make sure that thermostat, we don't have any leaks. We definitely don't want any leaks there. And then we got the coolant in there, and what needs to be consumed will be consumed. You see the bubbles there, getting the air out of the system. And then once those fans come on and that temperature comes up, there is a plug that comes with the bucket. You'll go ahead and insert that plug in there, and then you can remove the funnel and take this portion off and put your radiator cap back on there. So just want to be careful because the system will be hot and you don't want to get burned. So you can wait a little bit for it to cool down before you remove it. And that's pretty much it. So you can see here, temperature still hasn't warmed up completely. Once it passes that halfway point a little more and it starts to get hot, that's when the fan should come on. So we're still here. You see the coolant still there working its magic. Fan still hasn't come on. Waiting for that. But you just let it run its course. And you'll see. But the fan will eventually come on, and that's how you know you don't have any air in the system and the thermostat opened up. So you know that that thermostat that you changed and everything is good to go. And you see there, sometimes I'll squeeze the hoses a little bit, try to get some more coolant in the system, both upper and lower. But with this tool, it's a lifesaver. It's easy. Just fill. You can walk away. You don't have to keep watching it and make sure, because when you don't have this tool, you got to keep adding fluid when it gets too low, because then you'll get more air pockets in the system and thermostat won't open. All right, still waiting for it to heat up. We're here. You can see, still hasn't turned on. Coolant's still there. Just waiting. It's a little patient process. That funnel, like I said, vesting makes it 100 times better. That way you are secure that you don't have any air in the system. You can see the little bubbles coming out there. It shows you how good it is. That kind of stuff you wouldn't catch on your own. Plus it also helps that we do have the car raised up in front so that it's at an angle and pushes all the air from the back all the way up to the front. Oh, we're just here, still waiting. Still waiting for it to heat up. So it's a little warm. Still not even halfway. Like I said, it's a long process. That's why I accelerated a little bit. I didn't even bring it up to 2,000 RPM. It's just to give it a little bit of heat more in the system so that it can kick on and turn that fan on. That's how you know that thermostat, like I said, is working properly and opens up. Just keep waiting. All right, everyone, the fan kicked on. You see there? That means the thermostat opened up. Look back in here. It pretty much almost got to halfway, and that's when it started to kick on. Like I said, you see there. Fan turned on, pulled it down to where it needed to pull it down. Lift it off, and then you know the thermostat's working. You can go ahead and shut off the car. Like I said, this will be warm. We'll put that plug in, wait for it to cool down, put that plug in, and then we'll go ahead and turn it off. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll go ahead and put these plastics back on now and get it all set how it was. Always remember, Zion Racing Team. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Subscribe, follow, like, comment, and thanks for watching again.